My name is Mia, and I'm 22 years old. Life has been tough since my dad got married again. My stepmom, Laura, never made me feel welcome. She treats me differently from her own kids, and most of the time, I feel invisible in my own home. One morning, I woke up to a lot of excitement in the house. Laura was packing her bags and giving orders to my dad and her 2 kids, Jake and Lily. Everyone was talking about a big trip to the Bahamas. I stood in the kitchen, watching as Laura bragged about the fancy hotels she had booked and all the fun things they planned to do. I hadn't heard anything about this trip before. Why wasn't I invited? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Laura turned to me with a fake smile. Oh, Mia, this is a family trip, just for our family. She stressed the word "our" in a way that hurt. I am family, I said, feeling the sting of her words. Laura laughed in a mean way. Sweetheart, this trip is expensive. Someone like you couldn't afford something like this anyway. Don't take it personally. Her words felt like a slap. I worked hard balancing school and a part-time job, saving every penny for my future, something Laura clearly didn't care about. My hands curled into fists under the table, but I kept myself calm. Dad? I turned to him, hoping he would say something. But, as always, my dad looked away. It's just better this way, Mia, maybe next time. I didn't say anything else. I just walked away, feeling angry and betrayed. A little later, as I sat on my bed trying to clear my head, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my bank. My eyes widened as I read it. $1,124.50 charged to your credit card. My heart pounded. I didn't remember spending that much money. I quickly opened my banking app and checked the details. The charges were for airline tickets, a luxury hotel, and spa treatments. My hands shook with anger. Laura's family trip was paid for with my money. I couldn't believe it. My dad had used my hard-earned savings to pay for their vacation, and Laura had the nerve to say I didn't belong. I knew what I couldn't help but laugh at how ridiculous his excuse was. Oh, right. I'm sure telling me I'm too poor for the trip was your way of making me feel included. Laura rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. It's not like you were going to use that money anytime soon. You should have been happy to help pay for a family vacation. Happy? I snapped. That money is mine. I worked for it. You didn't even ask me. The room was tense. Jake and Lily quietly slipped away, not wanting to get involved. That afternoon, I started wondering if my dad was bold enough to use my credit card for this trip. What else had he done with my money? I logged into my bank account and checked my statements. What I found made my stomach turn. 4 months, there had been small, suspicious withdrawals from my savings account, money spent on fancy dinners, shopping sprees, and even expensive home decor. Every charge was for Laura and her kids. My dad had been secretly taking money from me, little by little. I printed out the statements and stormed into the living room, where Laura and my dad were sitting, looking miserable. I threw the papers onto the table. Care to explain this? My dad's face turned pale. Laura snatched the papers and scanned them, her eyes narrowing. So what? She said coldly. You're part of this family. It's your responsibility to help out. My responsibility? I shot back. You're stealing from me, and you think I owe you something? My dad raised his hands like he was trying to calm me down. Mia, don't make this a big deal. We're struggling with money, and I didn't think you'd mind. You didn't think I'd mind? I interrupted, my voice rising. You could have asked me. Instead, you just took whatever you wanted. Do you even care about me, or am I just your personal ATM? This wasn't just about money anymore, it was about respect. The next day, I went straight to the bank. I froze all my accounts and opened a new one in my name. My dad wouldn't be able to take another cent from me, but I didn't stop there. I filed a formal complaint, listing every unauthorized charge. If my dad wanted to act this way, he'd have to deal with the consequences. That evening, Laura stormed into my room. You're selfish, she spat. I moved out and started fresh, finally free from their toxic control. I got a better job and built a life where no one could take advantage of me again. The last time I saw Laura, she tried to ask me for money. I smiled and said, sorry, I don't lend money to people who can't afford to pay it back. Moving out was one of the hardest things I'd ever done, but it was also the most freeing. I found a cozy little apartment across town, far away from Laura's control and my dad's excuses. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine, and that was all that mattered. Once I settled in, I focused on rebuilding my finances. I took extra shifts at work and saved as much as possible, determined never to let anyone take my money again. I even started an online course on personal finance, learning how to protect myself from situations like the one my dad put me in. A few months later, I heard from mutual friends that Laura was struggling. She and her kids had moved into a small rental house after leaving my dad. The luxury life she used to brag about was gone. Her so-called friends abandoned her once she ran out of money. One day, Laura showed up at my apartment without warning. When I opened the door, I saw her standing there, looking tired and desperate. "Mia," she said sweetly, trying to act nice, "I'm so sorry for how I treated you. I was wrong. Things are really hard for us now, and I was hoping you could help out, just this once." I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. "Help you? You mean like you helped me, by stealing my money?" Laura's face turned red, but she forced a weak smile. "I know I made mistakes, but I'm still your family." "Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me," I said firmly. "I worked hard for what I have, and I'm not about to throw it away on someone who only cared about me when it was convenient." Laura tried to argue, but I shook my head. "Goodbye, Laura," I said, closing the door, "and good luck, you'll need it." A few weeks later, my dad reached out. He wanted to meet and apologize. I agreed, but only because I needed closure. We met at a small coffee shop. He looked older and more tired than I remembered. "Mia," he began, "I've been thinking a lot. I realize now how much I hurt you. I should never have taken your money without asking." I studied him carefully. For the first time in a long time, he seemed honest. "Why did you do it, Dad?" I asked. "Why didn't you just talk to me?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I was desperate. Laura kept wanting more trips, more shopping, more everything. I thought if I gave her what she wanted, it would keep the peace, but I ended up hurting the one person who actually cared about me." I felt a small pang of sympathy but reminded myself of the damage he had caused. "You need to understand something, Dad," I said. "I'm not here to fix your mistakes. If you want my forgiveness, you'll have to earn it." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I'll do whatever it takes." This experience taught me the importance of setting boundaries and valuing myself. I focused on my goals and surrounded myself with people who respected me. Over time, I slowly rebuilt my relationship with my dad. He started therapy, found a stable job, and worked to pay me back the money he had taken. It wasn't easy to trust him again, but I saw he was trying, and that was a start. Laura, on the other hand, disappeared from our lives. I heard she moved out of state, chasing another doomed relationship. Good riddance, I thought. As for me, I thrived. I got a promotion at work, paid off my student loans, and even saved up for a solo vacation, something Laura once told me I could never afford. Standing on the beach, feeling the ocean breeze on my face, I realized just how far I had come. Looking back, I'm grateful for everything I went through. It wasn't easy, but it taught me to stand up for myself and demand the respect I deserve. Laura and my dad thought they could use me, but I proved them wrong. Now, whenever I check my bank account, I smile, not because of the money, but because it reminds me that I took control of my life. And that is a luxury no one can ever take away from me.